Hi guys, Summers here, and time to take a look at Ferrari's 2020 Challenger, the SF1000. Whilst most teams these days favour digital or pit lane launches, Ferrari keep it fancy and actually conducted a physical launch of their car. So, after much fanfare, the screens were finally peeled back and the car unveiled, and whilst at first glance it may look a heck of a lot like last year's car, there's not a surface on there that hasn't been optimised in some way. Lest we forget that a Formula 1 car is a prototype, never complete, a never-ending engineering challenge that sees the designers back at the factory in just as fierce a battle as the drivers behind the wheel. The first novelty to point out is the Viking horns beside the airbox, a trick not seen since before the aero rule changes in 2009, with McLaren the first to introduce them way back when on the MP420. It'll be interesting to see if any of the other teams with narrow airboxes decide to look at this in the future, as they occupy space that those with the wider airboxes already utilise. Moving back to the front of the car, and the front wing is pretty much a carryover item from the end of last season, with the unloaded outer portion approach still firmly at the top of their agenda, whilst they try to find downforce and balance from the inner sections of the wing and a revision of the snowplow and cape introduced in Singapore last season. Much like the Haas VF20 I've already talked about this week, and the link is now in the upper corner, this solution is not just about flow conditioning, but effectively creating another wing section in the centre of the car, where there shouldn't be one. Of course, it's not as effective as those central wing sections we saw pre-2009, but like the camera pod option teams tried to use with the high noses, it's a way of establishing a connection. Talking of which, Ferrari have also extended their turning vanes forward too, in order to establish a closer relationship with the flow off the front wing and nose. The team continues to circumvent the regulation changes made to the barge boards for 2019 by occupying the space that would otherwise be used by the chassis. However, this year the taller section has 3 elements rather than 2. Talking about pairs, 2 boomerang winglets span the front and rear of the barge board assembly and converge at the forward side pod deflector element, which also sits astride the extended florax head. The main deflector panel behind this is still made up of 3 elements, the forwardmost 2 being L-shaped, while the aft one has now been fully detached from the upper side pod slat. This design, seen over on the Red Bull and subsequently copied by others, sees the outermost edge turned upward to infer a different aerodynamic effect than just having a downward facing archway to collect the flow. The SF1000's mirrors sees the Scuderia return to the 2-piece collective, having aggressively started the trend themselves and then shunning them last year. Their continued use of the forward and low mounted side impact spar paired with the new bodywork geometry means that the cooling inlet has also been reduced quite dramatically in size, whilst the side pods behind are also much narrower and contoured to take advantage of a slimming down of their entire package. This has been partly made possible by the lengthening of the car, but the work that's gone on behind the scenes in the powertrain department cannot be undersold here either. The engine cover has also been pared back significantly, with a much larger shark fin the result of that. However, it's also worth noting the cutout that appears on the spine of the cover just behind the airbox. Like the front wing, the rear wing is pretty much carryover from last year's car too, but note how little holds the wider and narrower sections of the wing together, meaning the 2 central supports must be capable of taking a fair amount of twisting force too. Altogether, the SF1000 looks like a very well refined step up over last year's car, but whether it can deliver on the team's added downforce targets without compromising straight line speed remains to be seen. Thanks for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit that like button, and if you're interested in more content like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel too.